early in the morning to accommodate everybody's schedule, and we will begin, we are being taped by Area 58, and which will be broadcast on local cable as well as YouTube. So we'll begin the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we have a 9 o'clock meeting for White Dog Cranberry for earth removal permit renewal. Hello.
Hi.
Thank you for coming in.
Why are we talking dirt this morning? It's too early for talking dirt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can see it. Yeah, they can see it.
I have some half-size plans if you would like them.
I like to look at pictures.
That's covered.
Where are we now with the movement?
With the earth movement? About a quarter, there's two plans. One's an overview, and one's the,
Oh, thank you.
One of the abutters is here, so we'd like to get that.
I have the abutters.
Yeah.
No, well, also, but you have abutters here who are actually here. I would like to see the maps also.
Oh, yeah,
Lay
sure.
that one right behind, there you go.
Give one to the short person over there too.
You have a crayon?
In a crayon, I'm just gonna say, in a crayon.
Maybe a whole new plan.
Here's the abutters.
Oh, thank you.
She can color in the spots and stuff on the map.
All right.
Okay, let's go.
You ready to start?
Ready.
Okay, this is essentially a continuation of the previous earth removal. I think that 3 years ago, we came before you with an earth removal project for about 64,000 yards of material to come out to create a tailwater reservoir for the cranberry operation over there by White Dog. John Makepeace is the owner of White Dog Cranberry. He's here also. What we've done is basically removed about 20,500 yards from the site to date so far. And we're just coming to renew it so that we can continue on with the process to complete the project. So effectively, we're about 1/3 done with the work on the site.
Do you feel like you're on schedule from what you expect it to be?
For the most part.
I mean, it's kind of a poor quality material coming out of there, so it's sort of hard to sell. But I'm keeping the good sand on site for the
To
box
use for the box,
purposes. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And out of the, let's say, I think we took 20,500 from the site. Out of that, about 6,000, I think I have the numbers, 6,400 yards were used for renovation of existing acreage on the site and maintenance sanding every couple of years. Certain acreages require some maintenance sanding. They'll apply between a half an inch and an inch of new sand over the vines to stimulate additional growth and what have you. So part of this project involved removing the sand and using it on the cranberry acreage. And as I said, that was about 6,400 yards of material that was used on site.
So out of the 20,000 square yards.
About a third of it remained on the site. And I broke that down. I brought a piece of paper with me with the breakdown of it because I think that as part of the earth removal application, as part of the process, we're required to pay a fee of 25 cents per yard for the material that was removed. And we paid that in advance. I think we paid in advance $5,000 last year. And we're wondering how we might want to deal with the issue of using some of the sand on the site where it wasn't removed from the site, but we did pay for it.
Right.
And I think the fee was essentially a fee to cover any maintenance issues on roadways and things of that nature. So it really applied to material that was being transported over the roads of the town versus being retained on the site. So we just bring that up for some consideration, see how you might feel about that, but, so. But we can address that when the time comes, but essentially the project is moving pretty much according to plan. I think
look at this top half here, so we'll go there.
Oh,
That would be about what's been excavated so far.
awesome.
And we showed a couple of areas, I think that as part of the original earth removal conditions, that we didn't call it to be phased because it is only essentially a 5-acre project, and I think your rules require phasing plan 4 or 5 acres, but effectively, it did kind of get phased just due to the nature of the material and the use of it and what John needed for cranberry operations, what was able to be sold. So that was pretty much, that's pretty much it. As far as we know, there was no issues with any of the neighbors. There has not been any problems that have been brought to our attention. There were, the highway surveyor weighed in on an issue of a tracking pad for the site. One thing that we would normally do is put a tracking pad at the source of the removal. We wouldn't, we have a relatively stable and hard surface driving all the way out to Palmer Mill Road. That's probably close to a third of a mile long. So, we respect what the highway surveyor has to say, but I think that, we track all of our material on our site. If the tracking pad was required, we'd want to put it up here on our site before we get onto our driveway and exit out into Palmer Mill Road. But to my knowledge, it has not been an issue with any sediment being tracked onto the public way.
Okay, we have an abutter here, perhaps we could ask you here. Do you have anything to say about
I
it?
just had 2 questions. I tried to come in and ask, but she didn't have the answers, so that's why I'm here. We're on Riders Way. We're the only house there right now.
Yep.
So my only 2 questions were, if we get a lot of rain like we have, do you have a plan for this flood that it's not gonna, or is it elevated properly that it's not? I know your driveway's like right behind our, so I would imagine you're not gonna let yourself flood, but
Yeah, no, you guys are actually higher.
we have a lot of water over there right now.
Yeah, that was one of my concerns with Riders Way, because you guys are actually at a higher elevation than I am, so your property flows towards me.
Oh, really?
So everything on my side kind of drops down.
Yeah, we're gonna get a ton of water this way,
Yeah.
towards the back of like where you pull the dirt up.
Yeah, there's no water coming across my driveway. Like, my driveway's here and you guys are like that.
Yeah, we're still talking to Tim about trying to fix that, because we have a pond in the backyard.
Yeah, I know, I see it every time it rains.
But I mean, my main concern is that we're putting stagnant water back there, so I was just wondering what your plan is for like mosquito season.
So you're saying the water's caused from his project?
No, no, no.
Oh, oh,
I'm
no.
just making sure that
Oh,
they have a plan that this isn't gonna flood.
okay, perfect.
But you have pumps, you can do those things, right?
And I can show you, like-
Our water elevation should be, the ground, our source of water for this project is groundwater, not necessarily surface water runoff. So our elevation of the water in this pond is even lower than the ground elevation as well.
So you can see right here, we have an elevation of about 45.
I think it might show better on the other one.
Well, 46 is over here, so you're probably about 10 feet higher than, at least 10 feet higher than the surface of the pond, but everything naturally drains from your side, and it goes underneath the driveway here, and it flows out through this
Okay.
swale into
Yeah.
the woods over here. So actually, everything flows from you to me, in a way. They did create a pond back here that was supposed to maintain your drainage, so.
We'll see when the rest of the houses go.
Right,
what
but
happens.
as far as like stagnant water, I don't see that being an issue because of the size of the pond and there's a lot of airflow.
Do you do anything to treat for mosquitoes or anything back there? I mean, I know it's.
No, I don't, because, it would be
Counterproductive for the cranberries.
Exactly, I mean, the chemicals that they use to treat mosquitoes and that sort of things, I can't have really near my farm. I wouldn't be comfortable with that.
And the depth of the pond also, it's not really conducive to mosquito habitat.
Right.
It's roughly gonna be about 10 feet deep
Right.
throughout its depth. So typically, you don't find that as a source for mosquitoes. They tend to be more
Shallow.
6 inches of shallow.
shallow puddle water, ponding water, things that you probably face with now. Just as a side note, before this piece of property did get developed, we did look at it for White Dog. You know, White Dog was interested in purchasing that at one point in time. You know, we evaluated that site from a development point of view for them. You know, we're cognizant of the fact about what the drainage is over there, and we're also cognizant of the fact of the groundwater elevation and the issues associated with drainage. So that might be one of, well, actually, that was one of the primary reasons they did not go forward. At least our recommendation to them was not to go forward with the purchase of the land because of the need to elevate it properly to account for drainage, separation of groundwater for your septic systems, and things of that nature. So that was something that, you know, we did look at for them and recognized what the site constraints would be over there. And, you know, from a development scheme, they weren't, White Dog that is, wasn't really interested in going to that extent to develop property.
Does that answer your question, sir? Does that answer your questions too, young lady?
Why is he talking to me?
Maybe she's shy.
No, she's not. She's just playing that.
So that's, I guess that's pretty much it with the earth removal issues and whatever questions you have. I think that Stephen Rye from Land Planning conducted an inspection, went out to the site, and his recommendation was, I guess, to perhaps issue the permit, at your discretion, of course, in utilizing the same conditions that were in the original permit, which, you know, none of them were really problematic with us.
How much more time do you think you're gonna take before you complete your project? Another 3 years?
No, I'd like to get it, I'm tired of looking at it. I mean, I want to get it all landscaped and, you know, so, I mean, I have to land a big fill customer, which
Yeah.
I kind of have one and we're working on it, so I would like to see it done by the end of this year. Would be, you know, because I don't like looking at it myself. I just want to see it done and completed.
The reason I asked is, are you looking for a year extension on this, or are you looking for?
Yeah, another, yeah, I'd say.
Well, it's a one-year permit. We have to come back each year for that. So I think that, you know, certainly if the proper person came along, the removal of 40,000 yards is not that significant and could be done easily in
Right.
1 year time frame. And so I guess you just have to work toward that end. And as far as stockpiling any additional material for sand, that's another thing that we would also look at, is creating some stockpile areas where we show them on the plan, but actually putting material there for future use.
Right, I'll probably burn through most of what's left for the sand this winter after I sand this year, because there's really not that much sand left. The elevation drops right off. As you go this way, this was much more of a cut here. Down here, there's a lot less digging to do, so that's kind of why I started here, and we're kind of stockpiling stuff in this area. But worst case scenario, if I can't sell the stuff, I've got places on the property I can
Put it.
exactly
Yeah.
put it for staging areas for harvest and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Are you expecting to find much more sand in the remaining area?
No, I've gotten most of it out. There's one little ridge of it, like right in this area here, which I've just kind of started to tap into, but there's probably maybe another 4,000 or 5,000 yards of good usable sand there. You know, I don't like to, you want the sand to be kind of coarse for
Yeah, right.
you know, so it's kind of, you have to separate it out. But,
All right.
So all we're looking for is an extension, basically, right?
There was, Steve Rye had mentioned during his inspection that it was noted that none of the silt fence indicated in the original earth removal plan was installed. Do you guys plan on doing that?
yes, yeah, the
Okay.
only reason I didn't was because we started right out in front of my house, and now that I've got that out of the way, I will put this.
Okay, yeah, because that's what he had written in his letter. I think I emailed that to you
Yeah, we
Friday. I
talked
think it
about
was,
that,
yeah. Yeah, so,
Because it's way high and dry up there, and,
okay.
you know.
We were only we showed the silt fence in there effectively for a limited work line more than anything else.
We'll do that.
Yep.
Okay, great.
I'd still like to hear back from the highway surveyor, make sure he's okay with the mat where it's placed. I mean, intuitively, I'm thinking to myself, I don't care how tightly packed that driveway is all the way down. In wet conditions, you're still gonna pick up mud no matter what. But I don't know if there's been any issues with any mud or
Yeah,
coming out onto the 58?
Yeah, I haven't seen any, I mean, it's all recycled asphalt all the way out to
Oh, it
the
is?
street.
Okay.
Like, you know, and it's packed with some gravel on top, but, believe me, I don't want.
We wouldn't want to really disturb that
Either, you
road. They'd have to replace it.
But, you know,
Yeah.
if.
No, I mean, that's fine.
Yeah.
I was not aware that it was
Yeah,
processed
I
up
mean, if they
there.
want me to do it, I'll put a pad in on the site, you know, whatever you guys want, you know, I don't have an issue with that.
You can make the motion
Yeah.
with contingent upon.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do.
Yeah.
I'd move we renew the permit, subject to the highway surveyor.
Yeah, he wrote to me.
He did?
Yeah,
Okay.
he was good, he was going back and forth with Bill, and he, we had just wrote that, like what Bill had just explained.
Okay, so he's okay with it?
He is okay with it. I said there hadn't been any issues, and he goes, he is correct, I believe that there haven't been any issues with him in the past. He just wants everybody on the same page going forward, at not just earth removal sites, but also at any type of construction sites.
Yeah, the pads, yeah.
Yeah, he said, I think it's like a state thing.
We had a horrible time in Stop and Shop in Walmart.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's usually, you know, certain projects require a stormwater pollution prevention plan,
Right.
and the tracking pad is typically required of like 75 feet long, 50 feet in width, at the exit point of a construction site where it enters onto a public way, so that's typically where you would see one.
Because I'm laughing because that's, of course, if you're maintaining the pad,
Exactly.
you know, and cleaning it. Otherwise, you're just running through more mud and taking it
Right.
around the street. But anyway.
Yeah, maintenance is always.
Yeah, right.
We wouldn't do that, no.
Yeah. So I'm good with that.
Okay, yeah.
So what your motion is?
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
but if Steve calls back and says, I want a pad,
Yeah, subject to Steve.
Well, then I'll double check.
But he
and see.
seems to be okay, so it
Yeah.
shouldn't be a problem for you.
but, so basically, if the motion would be is if the highway surveyor wants a pad, they will work out the location,
I'll
whether
put it-
it's at that or
Yeah.
at the road
Yeah.
entrance.
Well, you have a pad, right?
I do, it's like I said, recycled asphalt from,
Okay, but you don't have,
but I would put the pad like over here before we.
so either there or
Right.
at the end of.
Yeah.
Right, so I don't have to dig up my recycled asphalt.
Right.
So you're not gonna put a pad down, is that correct?
All right.
If he requires
If he
it,
requires
only
it,
if he
subject-
requires
Subject to the
it.
highway surveyors.
Yeah.
If he comes up and we find dirt on our floor in here because he decided he wanted a pad, then
Well, if the truck's
I'll
going to the
second the
floor.
motion that we renew the permit
All
for
those,
1 year.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Nice to see you. See you next year.
Maybe sooner, because we need to come back with a certificate of compliance for that other one that we worked with.
Oh, on Lincoln?
Morse Brothers, yeah, Langdon Street.
Oh, that's right.
So we
You have
just,
two different hats.
right, we did just as an update, we did the survey last week on that, and we'll be requesting a certificate of compliance on it
Okay.
shortly.
All right, we'll see you soon then.
Exactly.
We'll see you next year.
Oh, me?
Good luck.
Yeah,
Good luck.
I hope I'm done.
Yeah.
That's my plan.
Yeah.
I don't want to look at it another year myself.
Well,
Yeah.
well, only with the premise that you build a sand pile for the young lady so she can play in it.
Just wanted, I was just over, I ran the Grumpy's 5K on Saturday.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I had a great time. I mean, obviously the weather wasn't great, but it was
Right.
a nice time and they put on a great spread. I mean, anybody who wants to serve me real clam chowder after a 5K,
You're
I'm
good with
back.
that, yeah? That's great. Yeah,
Where
that's
is
actually
that?
my wife's, she runs a little cafe down there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What town is that?
This was in Wareham.
Very nice.
Oh, awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, he was actually one of our bog foremen, and, you know, that was his life. He just loved cranberries, and unfortunately he passed away a few years ago, but I think he knew it was coming. He was out at the bog at 11 o'clock at night, and that's where he wanted to pass away in the bog.
Wow.
In his truck right there.
Wow.
Yeah, he loved cranberries.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very knowledgeable. Yeah.
Awesome.
Bill,
Oh.
you received the invoice too, right?
I did, and I
very
think I
good.
forwarded a copy of
Okay,
it to, I have it with me,
I
yeah.
already got it.
Okay, that's great, so I'll just let Steve know that's coming, okay.
Okay.
I didn't know if you wanted me to give me a check, I do a turnover, then I send it to Steve, it's kind of like,
Do you want us just to mail it directly to him?
yeah, mail it
That's what I
directly,
did
yeah.
last year,
Okay,
yeah.
that's, yeah, I think that's quick, I think it's
Yeah.
easier, instead of giving it to me, then I gotta turn,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
John, before you sit down, you might as well come up front because you're right on schedule.
Okay, I'll get that permit back.
All
to you
right,
guys
thank you so
before-
much.
Okay.
Hey, John, how are you?
Good, how are you?
All right.
Hi.
Hey, John.
No, we never met.
I'm your favorite, though.
You're everyone's favorite.
I'm not even 50 years old yet.
You sure look at it.
A little better than 50.
Well, thanks a lot.
Burned.
Oh,
Okay, John Hess. We are here for a earth removal permit.
Well,
Oh.
we're not there yet.
Okay,
In that,
all
I
right.
think John would like to
John.
discuss with you the logistics of a possible earth removal permit.
Okay.
I think most of the things you want on it, I'm not in the gravel business, I don't want to change the topography of my land at all, because I don't have enough land for animals, not one. I'm in the process of trying to make the pond a little bit deeper and straighten the edges up on it. And it's probably, some people say I didn't go, I think I did go over 1,000 yards, and I didn't come to you because that's my fault, but what I want to do is, I'm trying to get the pond a little deeper and get a couple of 1,000 yards of dirt and silt off the bottom of the pond. So the last 2 years, we ran short of water, the cranberry garden did, I supplied the water. This year, we got water, we can give everybody in town, I mean, we've had some not much rain. But I want to deepen the pond. Well, you people want topography, I don't know what you want topography at the bottom of the pond or how you do that, but I got no intention of going on the dry land at all, just the bottom of the pond to get the silt and the crap off the bottom of the pond. What dirt I did take out of there, I've never sold a yard of dirt, and I did years and years and years ago. But what dirt I took out of there, I gave away. I couldn't find out what it was, because it's silt and clay and everything else. I kind of take no objection to the lot of you people telling me that I've been here 50 years and the Board of Selectmen voted to order me to stop. All you had to do was say, we request you do no further digging to your grave.
Well, we would have to
No.
do that for everybody, so.
No, I know, but
yeah.
anyway, but since Charlie came down here one day, what, 2-3 months ago, I guess, Charlie, there hasn't been a wheelbarrow full of dirt go off of that property since then. I stopped. But now, what I did dig is starting to wash back in because I didn't finish it, so. I guess what I'm trying to say is I'd like to be able to finish digging the bottom of the pond out and sloping the bank. What's that going to tail? Maybe a couple of 1,000 yards. I doubt if it'll get to 2,000 yards, but it might. But if I gotta do an engineered plan, and I gotta do all the rest of the expenses and public hearings and everything else, I'll just leave the pond the way it is and bulldoze the dirt that I pile up out there and leave it there. I'd like to be able to, 2,000 yards represents 500,000 gallons of water. And 500,000 gallons of water is a lot of water for prairie bugs in the summertime. So that's what I'm here for. I don't quite know how to fill out that application permit because it's all one dry land that you learn, a topography and 25 cents a yard. How do we keep track of the yards that go off underneath the water?
Well, if you're taking it off the property, you're having it trucked, right?
Oh, yeah, I can keep track of the truckloads, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, that's really, it's if
No
you're
different
taking
than
it.
what we were just dealing with the previous one.
Yeah, right.
That gets down some kind of analysis, and you trust me to say I had 10 loads, and I tell you I only had 5 or something, are you gonna, Charlie gonna stand there or building inspector and say, hey, we're counting the truckloads?
I was gonna say typically, I don't know what your arrangement is with the trucking. Typically, there's like a ticket, a trucking ticket that's generated with how many yards that they're hauling out to try to keep track of.
Yeah. Well, I can get that from him. And most of the dirt that went out, he's done, it said in the letter, an affiliate company line, he's done an affiliate line. It was Corey Miller that took it. I swapped him the dirt out of the pond because he cleaned up the old foundation that burned up down there and another pan and all the holes. I said, they take the dirt, and he did. But anyway, it works out for you people to keep track of it. That's how we'll keep track of it. Right now, I think I'm involved a little bit with the 3 lots out front. One of those lots, I think is gonna take more dirt than what I'm gonna dig out, and then trucks don't even have to go out on the road. They're gonna run it through the yard and right into that lot right there, because I don't wanna give it out Thompson.
Yeah.
A heck of a dip right there in the front there, and I think that's probably gonna take more of the dirt than what I wanna dig out.
So the trucks don't even have to go on the road.
You know, I'm not familiar with, you know, digging out ponds. Just a question though, because I know you serve on the conservation. You serve on the Conservation Commission. Do you have to get a special permit if you're affecting a
No,
pond?
I got a letter from conservation that says that it was an agricultural operation the last time I did it, and it did not need any conservation.
Oh, okay.
I got a copy of
Oh,
it.
awesome. And what year was that?
Copy, you have it.
What year was that?
Well, that's back a few years ago, yeah.
Okay.
Probably back.
But there's a general rule that you can disturb wetlands if
If
you're
it's
dealing with
agriculture.
agricultural.
Okay, awesome. All
And you're
right.
dealing with the cranberries, which is part of that.
No, I just wanted to make sure we were all set with that, so
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
good. Okay, thank you.
I got a
Oh, no,
copy
no,
of
I
it.
don't need it. I don't need it. I don't need it. Yeah. I just wanted to verify it.
We're not removing anything in terms of removing it from the property.
Well, that was my only concern going across, going on across the road to the property. If it's not gonna be removed from the property, it's gonna stay within the confines. I don't have any problem with it.
Okay,
Well,
so,
Technically, it's gonna go on that lot out front. That's not my property, but it's attached to my property. I got an interest in that lot out front. But that's not the original piece of property yet. It's my property, and we're not going out on the road and going
Yeah.
down.
Well, I'm not concerned about who owns it. I'm concerned about how you're gonna get the soil from one location to the other. Are you gonna take it on the road?
No.
No, it's gonna go through his
So
property.
that would be my main concern.
so it doesn't matter if it's going to another property as long as it's not on the road,
So I'm not on the
is
road.
my question.
I'll have to check on that, but also even if in the remaining loads, that if, for whatever yardage is removed from the pond and it does not go out on a 105, it simply goes to an abutting lot, and I'd have to go back and make sure what the stipulation is, whether it's off the property or onto a road. We still have the yardage that went out earlier this year, which no permit was obtained for. I mean, at the very least, it should be on the record of, and I know it's shutting the barn door after horses left, but it should be on the record of having a permit, and even if Mr. Peck requests a number of variances from the zoning bylaw, that it go through the procedures. I mean, we're just dealing with one
Right.
a few minutes ago. Obviously, it's a larger operation, but nevertheless, I think there's an expectation that we treat all the permits in the same way.
Huh.
Given, however, that people can ask for variances and the board of selectmen can grant those variances if they deem it prudent to do so.
Okay, because I'm just gonna call a spade a spade. We would never have known this if we hadn't received a complaint.
Correct.
We would never have known this if we didn't receive a formal
See, the last
complaint.
time I moved there.
Which is why we needed to
That
send.
did go on the road.
Right, right, and you have admitted that, and we had to send a letter because
Yeah.
you have done what, you didn't follow the rules, so we had to send a letter.
I forgot what a selectman letter anyway.
No, it's, yeah. But, it's to Charlie's point,
No,
if we all, know you, we've known you for a long time, but unless we all kind of follow the same
Fair, firm, and
rules,
consistent.
then, we don't want people to look at this and say, well, they didn't require him to do it. That's the issue that we're having.
There was all like a period of 3 months, like been 2 loads today, then nothing for a week, then 10 loads, something. Because we had trouble finding anybody that, the silt that comes off the bottom of the pond is just what it is, it's silt. and
Sure.
clay and-
Sure.
And crap, but,
Sure.
and I'm to blame for the first 1,000 yards, whether it's 800 or 12.
Yeah, which is fine.
I don't know, because I haven't got track.
It's fine, but we're gonna correct it now, so
Yeah.
that's our point is, that's fine, we appreciate you coming in, and now we just need to make sure that we're doing it according to the proper rules, that's all.
So what we need is a plan to move forward.
Right, so I would take it in two pieces. If, look, for the moment, I'll assume that material that doesn't hit the road doesn't need a permit. If it does, I'll inform Mr. Peck of that. And we'll follow the same procedure as we'll do for the first part, which is that Mr. Peck can file the application for the earth removal permit for the material that's already left the site, that he can ask for whatever variances or exemptions he wants in terms of the requirements of the bylaw,
Right.
and then the board can, for instance, decide also, do we want to have a formal public hearing? Do we want to notify the abutters? Maybe a situation that the board takes it on itself to notify the abutters and not burden Mr. Peck with that, the publication notice and the certified list to the abutters and everything like that. That would be up to the board, but if you want to ask for a variance from those requirements, then you ask the board for that variance, and the board takes that under consideration, makes a decision whether to grant that or not.
All right, Charlie, I'm going to say as much as we would like to help them out, if we wouldn't do that for anybody else, then I don't think.
I'm not advocating one way or the other,
I
I'm just
understand.
going through the
I un-
procedure.
No, I understand, but I'm saying that as much as personally I'd like to help them out, we have to keep the same way that we would handle anybody else. So,
What are we gonna do here?
So John needs to file an application to the board, at the very least, for material that's already left the site. He can request variances and exemptions to
The board.
what's included to the board for the various parts of the bylaw that he feels shouldn't be necessary to follow through with. And I agree that, many of the regs in there are for much larger projects, and there's no point in requiring some of that. But, and then the board can make a decision, do I want to grant the variances or not? If we do, then we proceed
John, you all
based on
right?
those variances.
You okay?
And then for the material that he
I
still,
didn't want so many times by Troy, the other bylaws, it's gonna be.
then for the material he still wants to remove, I will go back and check to see whether or
Want some water,
not
John?
it requires,
do you want some water?
if the material is not leaving, going onto the road, if the material is
Right.
staying off the roads, does it still require a permit? If it does, then I'll inform Mr. Peck of that, and we'll consider two applications, one for the previous stuff, one for this one. And again, he can ask for variances to it. If it doesn't require a permit, then I'll inform the board and Mr. Peck of that.
Okay, so at this point,
One of the,
everything relies on whether or not the permit is submitted to us, asking for variances for that property that's already been removed. And then a second permit, or is it on the same
For the
permit?
remaining material, right.
do you have any idea how many yards we're talking about?
You said about 2,000.
I
About
think there's
2,000.
maybe another couple of thousand, if I'm lucky. The first time around, engineers told me he thought it was 700 or 800. I think it was over that. And I know it was over. It was probably 11 or 12 yards that took out the first time around. But I never kept track. I could probably go to the guy that I gave the bid to. I would imagine that he, all of a sudden, he must have a truck and stuff or something in his office to say, it took 3 loads on the 4th and 10 loads on the
Yeah.
18th or something. I think I can reconstruct how many yards were out the first time.
In the 1,000-yard limit, Charlie, do you know, I mean, is that within a calendar year? Is that
No, it's per project.
per project?
Yeah.
Okay.
There,
It's tricky as to
Yeah.
when a project
Right.
ends and when a new project begins, is what I was getting at. I was just looking to see if, we don't have to tie the two together.
The last 3 years, the government or whoever controls cranberry growers, they've advocated all the cranberry growers digging their ponds out deeper and a little wider or cleaning the bottom, because for the last 2 or 3 years, they were hurting for water. This year,
Right.
we're gonna be swimming out that thing again.
Well, what are we trying to accomplish right now? We've given them information you need to know. Do
Yeah.
we need to carry this any further than this?
Not right now, there's no, it's aside, again, for the material that's already left,
Left.
it's up to Mr. Peck to apply for the permit. There's nothing else for the board to do right now. He can ask for variances, the board will, once we get that paperwork in, the board can make a decision whether to grant those variances.
Okay.
For the material that hasn't left yet, or hasn't been dug out yet, again, I will check to see whether or not it requires a permit. And I will inform both Mr. Peck and the board of that.
Okay, thank you.
John, anything else you need to know? Clear that up?
No, thank you for letting me come in, and I don't think there's any good thing that we can't resolve it all. So, I'm gonna empty it anyway.
Oh, all right, okay, all right. You empty it. I'll take it from you. Thank you for coming in.
We'll get a nickel back on.
Yeah, that's what the Boy Scouts have to keep telling people, is we can't take the water on
The
us.
Boy Scouts put these labels on everybody's mailbox. 4 or 5 times over the last 4 or 5 years, I get 5 or 6 bags of them together. I tell them I got them, they never come and pick them up.
Really?
Well, I'll get a contact for you So I will get a contact person for you so that you can correspond with the director.
Karen's not there. Oh, there's a dip on the chair. Once again, thank you very much.
Well, then I'll walk you out.
Kim, thank you.
Take care, John.
Tommy, thank you.
Take care, John.
I'm doing walking the church.
Yeah, well, you don't want to crash into me.
Thank you, Charlie.
Okay, you're welcome, John.
Okay, did you guys want to,
We'll leave it open.
the earth removal, so just sign the water
Come back.
line, that's for the other gentleman.
I'd recommend just taking a 2-minute recess until Troy gets back.
Sure.
I would say so.
Okay. All right, so we didn't start with the regular meeting minutes. So was everybody able to review this regular session for October 29, 2018?
Yep.
Have a motion?
Yeah, so moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
All right.
Tom, do you want to take it away?
Sure. I move to affirm approval of the following warrants and commitment. Payroll warrant number 38 for $362,609.31. Vendor warrant number 39 for $171,707.71. Withholding warrant number 40 for $139,264.80. Ambulance commitment number 10A for $2,636.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I move to approve the following commitment. Mobile home park fee number 11 for $5,160.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I move to approve payment of Selectmen bills dated November 5th, 2018 for the South Shore Community Action Council for $3,500. For Copeland and Page Law PC, $135. Seems extremely low for an attorney's fee, but I like it. Halifax Postmaster for $100. And WB Mason for $33.61, and that is it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So before we go on, I just wanted to, we need to do a motion that next week Troy be the only signature on the warrant since Tom and I will not be available. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Abstain.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Did you really abstain, is that it?
No.
I have to.
Abstain from making a motion.
Well, okay.
All right, so we have a 8:45, I'm supposed to say.
9:45.
9:45, yeah.
Yes. So the 9:45 are the continuance of the revocation hearings for Evergreen Twin Lakes Liquor, for their package store license and for Dave's Automotive for their Class 2 auto and for their fuel storage permit. And this is due to, they're on a payment plan with the Treasurer Collector's Office to, I don't think it's us, but,
We'll turn around, we'll make the other way, okay? All right, elevator, that's
that's what you get for having a daytime meeting.
Yeah, that's right. It's all good.
So they're on a payment plan for paying back their back taxes. For Evergreen, they're currently in good stead. They do owe a payment in November, but that due date has not come to pass yet, so they remain in good stead. What I'm going to recommend in a minute is that we continue their hearing to 7:40 on the 27th. With Davis Automotive, unfortunately, they are now 3 months in arrears. They had given the check to the Treasurer Collector's Office. There were problems with that check. They haven't made any payments for October, and they've not made any payment for November. So and the board had looked at this subject a couple of weeks ago. I sent another letter to Davis pointing out their situation, that they were in arrears, that the hearing was being continued to today at this time. They've not made any sort of payment, and therefore I'm going to recommend revocation of their licenses for fuel storage and for the Class 2. I am going to also recommend that we continue the hearing so I don't have to send out another certified mail if we do a start over again. again for 7:40 on the 27th. But the revocation should, if the board approves it, I will send them the letter notifying the revocation.
Do I have a
To
motion?
be effective when?
Now,
So moved.
A regrettable second.
Yep. All those in favor?
Aye.
the board has rescinded previous revocations for Davis. It may very well happen that we'll be able to do that on the 27th. We'll see how that plays out. That's one of the
I hope
reasons
so.
why to continue the hearing and simplify
Yeah.
the procedures.
I hope that we can.
Yep.
So do I.
Okay, Charlie, that's it for our appointments, so you're
Okay.
on.
Charles and Mary Anderson of Cranberry Drive have written to the board recommending that step strips, visibility strips be placed at the steps of Town Hall, Pope's Tavern, and Museum of Halifax, so visitors using the steps would have a better indication of where the steps are located. Right now, I guess, if you're looking at them in certain ways, you can't know where one step ends and one step begins. There's a potential hazard, obviously, involved in that. It's not, I'm sure, a large amount of money that the building department would have to spend to do it. It's then something, however, they would have to maintain in the future, once we put those in.
Wait, my motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
This is a little ahead of the calendar, but the Generations
I
Group...
was about to say September 14th.
Yes, they want it
That's
2019. Generations would like to reserve the Town Hall Green on Saturday, September 14th, 2019, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. for the dog show. I think this one got rained out, if I remember right.
This year,
There
yeah.
are, as you might expect, no conflicts.
Do I have a motion?
so moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
And I didn't realize that we were going to get this, so I didn't put it in my notes here. There's other stuff to do, but I don't want to forget this because you had put this, were these were three.
Yeah, they're in their packets.
Okay,
So,
so-
yeah, we'll have to do those. now.
Okay,
Yeah,
great,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. I just put those in this
Chapter 90 reimbursement forms. We have two, one for crack sealing South and Elm Streets, and then the second's for the resurfacing of South Street, Elm Street, Thompson Street, Oak Street, and Pond Street. And there's one copy of each form to sign, but you need to sign 2 pages on each form. So if the board would approve signing the final state reimbursement reports for those projects.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Lakeville Kennel Agreement, this is up for renewal on an annual basis. There are no changes in the proposed agreement from last year. There are 2 copies to sign. If the board prefers, the board could sign but wait for a week to hear back from the animal control officer and the police chief about any concerns.
I think it's fine. It's pretty standard. I think
Yeah.
it's fine for us to approve it today.
We don't have another alternative.
Yeah. So,
So moved.
Second?
all those in favor?
Aye.
And I didn't mark the pages, but you can find where signatures are necessary. There are the 2 copies for that. Cultural Council reappointments, recommend the board make the following appointments. Patricia Murphy for a term ending on December 8th, 2021. Linda Redding for a term ending on November 26th, 2021. And for Charlie Seelig for a term ending on November 26th, 2019.
So move. Oh,
Well, I'm just gonna move that, so moved.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Steve Hayward said he was coming in today to talk about the cemetery fees and the
All right,
rates.
well, we can wait.
So we can hold off for a
Do you want me to
couple
call,
minutes.
let me text him, see if he's
Sure.
coming?
He was in the building.
I'll text him.
Maybe that's what he's good for, us to go someplace else. Bridges, with the highway department, we got the
The report.
periodic reports from the MassDOT on East Street and Pine Street. East Street Bridge is in satisfactory condition. There are some defects that should be corrected, but the deficiencies on Pine Street have reached the serious critical level. I recommended the highway surveyor that he hire a design engineering firm to develop plans for the repair and renovation to the Pine Street Bridge. If he's already done so already, I've asked him to provide a status report. And then everything under that is carried over, and I shouldn't even included that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right. Oh, could I just
Yeah,
make
go ahead.
mention of one thing
Yeah.
though? Because we have the new chief swearing in on November 27th at 6 PM.
Right, he's at the legal swearing in will be,
Yes, the day he started, yeah.
but we're going to start the meeting early on the 27th, I guess it's 6.
6 o'clock upstairs in the Great Hall.
The
And
public's invited.
The public is invited, and then at 7:30, we'll make our way down here for our regular meeting, and, you know, they can continue. I don't think it'll be a huge celebration, but I had a brief conversation with Chief Shav's wife to say, you know, what were you thinking? And they were gonna do a family party on another day. So I think that we should probably do what we did for Chief Broderick, which is, I think we had a cake that said congratulations, Pam. I think I remember getting a cake, and then we had like a coffee maker.
In there.
Just a little reception kind of thing.
Yeah, and then coffee. You know, so we can coordinate that through this.
Probably also invite the area police chiefs and such.
Yeah.
I know that
Yeah.
he's going on Wednesday to the Plymouth County Chiefs Association has their monthly luncheon at the country club. And Ted is gonna introduce them to all the area chiefs, so. I couldn't remember if we sent, I asked Ted the other day, I said, did we send formal invitation? He's like, I don't think you did.
Well, at least I'll get a note out to
Yeah.
Plymouth County
Okay.
police chiefs.
So anyway, so we'll need to kind of figure that out for the,
I can also check my email records and see what I got.
so if we just do cake, coffee, and water, I think that's good.
No cookies?
Whatever you want to bake.
I may be have got it baked out by that weekend.
I was gonna say, you're not gonna
Yeah,
bake.
yeah.
You're not gonna bake.
Yeah.
We got something else on the 29th, too.
I just found out I'm allergic to wheat.
Talking about celebrations, what's going on the 12th for Veterans Day?
Well, it'll be on the 11th, and I need to check with Will.
And we
The-
won't be there.
Government offices are going to be closed on the 12th, but no matter which day of the week it is, the observance is always on the 11th.
And we won't be here.
And then we're going to have to rely on Troy once again.
We're such loafers.
Or still.
Unless you wanna broadcast me from the camel.
Did you guys want to do these
That could be interesting.
recycling
Yeah,
babies?
I could
You
FaceTime
guys
from
see
the
your sheet?
desert. Put it as a hundred.
Recycling abatements?
Oh, yes.
See who's more unhappy, you or the camel?
Okay, so,
I'll call Steve. Go ahead, you do that.
no, we all get,
Oh, yeah.
could look at this.
Yes, I do it.
Turn around the thing, and there's a cover sheet. Please take a peek at the, no, it's behind the blues.
Behind the blue.
Okay. Look at the
Oh, I don't
first
like your
one.
tone.
No, I don't. I'm tired
Don't like
of
your
it.
tone.
Well, we got two, we got one this morning.
She's
And you
tired.
really?
Okay.
I'm just tired of it. Look at number one, okay, if you guys want to. Hey, Junior,
Yeah.
you pay attention.
Tom, pay attention.
I'm drawing.
You guys got it, there's a story behind the story, this is the whole thing. All right, number one, story behind the story.
I saw this, yeah.
Okay, I know, because I get your
Oh.
thoughts. Okay,
Oh,
so to read
yeah.
the email behind, that's kind of a tricky one.
That's a tricky one because they didn't have ownership.
Well, I'm thinking that probably the bill did come to the house, but the people that were
Yeah.
there probably just like, oops, well, we don't, blah, 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 and, and just put it in the, whatever, never forwarded it, whatever.
It seems fair enough. Straightforward, I don't see what's the trickiness about it.
Okay, so we gotta rescind, if you guys decide to do something, you gotta rescind the vote that you guys took, the first one, and then just vote to.
So moved. Based on new information and the changes, I would vote to rescind.
These are so difficult. I'll second it for purposes of a vote.
All those in favor? Aye.
All right.
Okay.
And then you guys gotta vote, if you guys want
To
to
abate.
take a vote to abate.
So moved.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Is that one?
All right, so then we need to make
And then the
a
other
motion
two.
to deny 2396 and deny 962.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
All right.
All right, are we all set?
Well, just a few other things. Site plan review. Remember I dropped Cled's tree service over the industrial drive? and whether a flammable storage license was going to be needed, because basically the only thing we're doing for the new site plan review was adding this flammable storage tanks. I checked with the fire chief, and he said it's small enough that it doesn't require a separate permit.
I'm gonna call.
We've talked about vacation hearings, just so the board is aware, I did, after the board discussed this, one of this means, I sent out an email to the members of the zoning bylaw committee about how to properly post and publicize the meetings to the members, also that they should hold back on the multi-purpose housing changes to the bylaw, but also work on other things, and
Right.
received absolutely crickets. So, I don't know if they're gonna get their act together and get anything done or not, but there may be another circumstance that I may work with particular people and try and develop some bylaws to bring back to town. I will refrain from doing that on the multifamily until we got
Did you mention it in the note at a certain time before them to get back to you as to what they were?
No, but I would expect, given the information I provided, that somebody would have
Yeah.
said something.
Well, I'm going to personally reach out to them and see what is going on. I know there's been issues about postings
Yes.
and non-notifications and whatnot,
Right.
so.
Meeting schedule, just, I wanted to review with the board. We are meeting this coming Friday at 5 o'clock. I know you won't be here, you'll already be heading for parts unknown. But we need to have that meeting on Friday to deal with the bonding for the school renovation project. We have, not that you all do, but the financial staff has a conference call with Moody's this morning at 11 o'clock, since they need to do the rating and everything. And that seems to be in good shape. I think we have all the information they need. Our next regular scheduled meeting is on Tuesday, November 27th. As you all mentioned earlier, we're going to start early at 6 o'clock for the swearing in, it'll be the reception in the police chief. Then we'll have our meeting in December, and we're only having one at this point, on December 11th. That's a regular meeting night, regular time. We don't tend to meet on Christmas Day, sorry to say.
Well, I'm a little disappointed on that, Charlie, because I got your new
I was looking for the gifts.
got your new set of flannels. Although for Halloween, Charlie was wearing his flannel robe. That was
Yes.
great.
Then
I saw that.
So we'll skip that.
That was
and then-
pretty scary too. But
Yeah, I know. Everything I wear is scary. Then January 8th, we'll go back to our normal schedule. That doesn't mean that the board, if it feels a need to, can't hold another meeting in December. Obviously,
Sure.
if there's an urgency or something.
Hopefully we
can do
don't
that.
have to.
Right. November 26th, we're posted for a meeting, which is the Monday
Yes, I'll
with
be
the
there.
Finance Committee.
Yep.
This is the budget review for fiscal '20, at least the sort of, let's talk about where our budget status is and what we're recommending to the various departments about budget proposals. We're also going to be doing a formal interview with Adrienne McDougall
Oh, good.
to serve on the Finance Committee, at least that's what our schedule says, that she's coming in for that.
Okay.
She was sick when we
Yes.
had our previous meeting. She
Yes.
had emailed me, I think it was even during the meeting, that she couldn't make it.
Yeah.
so.
So I know that we typically set the tone on November 26th, and then, halfway through the budget season, something happens, and we end up panicking, and then we end up being okay, and the
Yep.
whole thing. So I did have a conversation with Gordon Andrew, who's now on the Silver Lake, he's on Silver Lake, but he's also on the elementary school, school committee. I said it would be really great if we could get estimates right now. I know it doesn't need to be solid, but at least that seems to be the game changer in all of this. So if we had a sense that we had, 10 students in the preschool that are now gonna be moving into either a bigger,
Industrial,
like an outside services, or we might require one-on-one aides, or whatever that is, they should be able to start to identify that now. So I asked them to sort of look into that, because that tends to be the item that, kind of.
It's our surprise and not a pleasant one.
Yes, so.
We are, I know that Joy hasn't sent the figures out, but our population percentage over Silver Lake did decrease,
Yes.
which is what we expected. We're going to go through about 3 or 4 more years of that, and then our percentage will start
Yeah.
climbing back up again.
What about the elementary school?
That is on its way up, actually.
Yeah.
That's on its way up. And then the other thing Gordon talked a little bit about is they've
I know.
had some leaking
I
of the
would think.
roof at the at the high school, and that's, it's less than 20 years old. So they're addressing that, so that we might need to be looking at using some of the money that's in stabilization, depending on what's on their capital plan.
It's hard to believe that's been there 20 years.
What hasn't?
Oh, okay.
It's been there 15, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think it's
That's why I
15.
just heard 20 years and I'm going, wait a minute,
It was
there's no way.
03, 04.
Yeah.
So 15 is right.
Yeah, 15 years, yeah.
Hmm.
So anyway,
Even
Wow.
15 seems.
he's saying that they've had issues from the very beginning. He's just
Why wouldn't
learning
they
it.
rectify it?
No, he's learning of it because he
Now
is
serving
new
there.
to the committee, so he's on grounds and,
Did you hear anything?
I tried both cells, now I was gonna try the highway department with, so it's 293.
1760?
I saw him come in the building when I came in. I'm not sure where he was heading at that time.
Okay, so here are these, ones that got to assign for the,
Overnight parking ban?
rescinding.
No, all that stuff is from weeks ago. I didn't delete all that from a couple of weeks ago.
So the Halifax, we did HIV.
Yeah, that's all been done.
So, yeah, you
Police
signed
station
one,
roof,
I had
we
to
did
make
those.
mine.
Oh,
She
is that
sent-
what these little black
Yeah,
lines are?
'cause I didn't get an abatement form.
Did the complaint.
I ain't gonna go there. Okay, so then we got Nicholas.
Stop signs are up on Circuit and Laurel Street.
Great.
I got that personally from individuals who live on there.
Okay.
Okay, so now this
The
guy.
little black lines at the bottom.
It does not get personal.
Sorry. No intent.
That is kind of funny. We're gonna have to page Captain Stubing because he's on a cruise.
Steve?
So I don't know who you saw.
Oh, wait, who the hell did I see?
Yeah, I just talked to
Bob
Karen.
Badul was here early, you didn't see him, didn't know, but that was earlier, that was like at 8:50.
No,
Okay, so-
Bob
Karen was
Stewart.
really funny. She said, well, I'll have to page Captain Stubing.
Okay, well, then we'll get them on for the 27th.
All right, you know what? I'm gonna keep you my fees so that you don't have to photocopy that.
That's a good idea, I'll keep everybody's,
I do not have anything else for the board at this time.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second,
All those in favor?
All right.
with flavor.
Thank you, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving. Oh,
And
yeah.
remember to vote.
As my father used to say, happy Thanksgiving.